This is one of those things that if I had a time machine and I could record a video and just send back one video, this would be one of the top videos, because this video is going to contain the secret that if I would have known this earlier, I could have made my first $1 million even sooner. And not that making money is the entire point of life, but the truth is, if you're watching this video, that's probably what you want in life right now. And so if you want to attract it, this secret, and there'll probably be a few sub-secrets in this video, I think is the only video you'll ever need to fully understand. And this video was inspired by a student of my course that sent me an email. And this email bothered me. And it didn't bother me, like I'm not mad at him, I'm not upset, I'm not anything like that. It bothered me because it reminded me of my old mindset. And in this student, I saw a lot of my old mindset and things that I still somewhat struggle with, even though I feel like I've overcome a lot of them. And the mindset that was shown in this email was one that I know he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet, and it takes time, right? Like everybody says, mindset's the most important thing for becoming a millionaire, making lots of money. It's all about the mindset, and I firmly believe this, because I know right now, if everything was taken away from me, and I needed to make money again, 100% chance I'd be able to do it again, over and over again, because I feel like I've attuned my mindset into one that attracts money, for lack of a better word. Whether or not you believe in, the secret and all that hippie stuff, but I come from a scientific background. I studied biomedical engineering, and I want to break this down in a way that doesn't sound all woo-woo, but uses some of those principles and brings it down to earth and explains why these things work. You always hear people with law of attraction, you'll just manifest money and it just attracts to you. But why is that? So let me give you some concrete examples why it seems like some people just make money so easily and other people have to struggle for it. And I saw this in my life. I struggled for so long trying to make money. And now, I don't mean this in a bragging way, but it's just like, it's so easy to make money. It's just like I barely have to try. And keep in mind, part of that is because of the hard work I did, but it's also because I've tuned my mind into seeing opportunities much easier than most people do. I can see right away. I can even things I've never done before, like restaurants and stuff. I'll walk by a restaurant and I can tell you right away things that they could do to improve their marketing, to improve their customer experience, all these different principles of making money. And this will be one of the first principles that I think so many people get wrong, and this particular student I see get wrong, and most people get this wrong. So this is and throughout this entire video, it's no offense to him, no offense to anybody in particular, but the reason it bothers me so much, again, is because this is something I was really guilty of. So when he was showing some of these signs, I want to shake him and just be like, don't do that. So for you watching right now, one of the biggest things is, if you are starting a business, it's not about, a lot of people like to do what's called playing business. My mentor and friend, Pagan, talks a lot about this. A lot of people like to play business, but they don't actually like to do business. So what's the difference? Playing business is things like getting a logo, getting your cards, like your business cards, designing your website, worrying about should you trademark and hiring trademark lawyers, worrying about like future things. Doing business is getting money for things that you produce. Doing business to me is marketing. Doing business is like actually getting there and doing the things that are going to make you more money. And so that's one of the first things is, if you want to make more money, do the things that are going to make you more money and stop worrying about all the other bogus stuff. So again, I'm going to use this student as an example throughout this video, and I'm going to send this video to him. So I mean this 100% with love. But this particular student spends a lot of time asking me questions and is stuck in analysis paralysis. And I can empathize with that because I've been in analysis paralysis. And one example is he asked me, should I sell my product in a 1-pack, a 2-pack, or a 3-pack? And he weighs all the pros and cons, and it's pretty close. My gut instinct is do a 1-pack, charge more for it. But that answer didn't fully satisfy him, so he's like, well, here's the reason for a 2-pack, here's the reason for a 3-pack. Second answer is, the real answer is it doesn't matter. It absolutely does not matter. You try something, and if that doesn't work, you try the next thing. This is one of the keys to having a successful mindset and attracting lots of money, is realizing you don't need to get it perfect on your first shot. You're playing the long game here, right? Like if you think everything, and I suffer from this still. And so I'm making this video as much for myself as I am for all my current and future students. But you don't need to get it right on your first time. To think that everything needs to be perfect right away is 100% debilitating. Yes, put some energy and some attention into it. But when somebody gives you advice, you either follow it or completely ignore it, make up your mind, and make another decision, and then that's it. It's done. But the time spent wasted thinking about different decisions is time wasted. You could have been spending that instead in marketing, engaging with customers, doing all this other work. But instead, it's an analysis paralysis for something that doesn't even matter. And it's the decision that doesn't need to be made right away. Like that's a decision that could be made later. In fact, one thing he could do is instead of asking me, he could just start asking customers, because that's a form of marketing. It kills two birds with one stone, right? And that's a big part of my philosophy with the Passion Products Formula is have a Facebook launch group, ask them questions, say, hey, here's the different price points. But this leads, I think, into maybe the more core element and like the real secret to making your first $1 million and making unlimited amounts of money. And that's valuing things and understanding what the real value of things are. And I suffer from this. I feel like I'm getting over this, but historically, I've suffered from this so hard. So I have a lot of different examples of this. One example is Pagan, the guy I mentioned earlier, the guy who I joined his $25,000 a year mastermind, and this story will be important later. I never paid a dime for anything of his. And then honestly, not out of guilt per se, but I felt this almost need. I felt so indebted to him because he's given me so value that I ended up giving him a ton of money to join his mastermind. And the reason I bring this up is because what is the value of this mastermind I joined? Is it worth $25,000? And I've asked myself that a lot. Obviously, I'm only 3 or 4 months into it. And I was thinking, if you would have asked me 2 or 3 months ago, I was like, I don't know. I really don't know if it's worth it. But I had this revelation recently, and I realized 100% it's been worth it. And once you understand this principle, making $1 million is easy. It's how much is an idea worth? Honestly, like think about it for a second. If someone gives you an idea or helps to inspire an idea, and that idea turns into something, which turns into something, which turns into something, turns into something, what's the value of that? Because there is value on that. If someone helps you make a decision and saves time, what's the value of that? And the truth is, here's a big thing. It's compounding over time. Every little thing, every time someone gives you value, it compounds over time. So for instance, in this mastermind thing, they gave me ideas on things with my business. Even if I don't implement them right away, those ideas lead into other ideas, which lead into other ideas, which lead into other ideas. So the first book I ever read by Pagan was a book called Double Your Dating. It was how to be better at dating, basically. Now, how much was that book worth? I paid nothing for it. How much was it worth to me? Well, $19.99 was the cost. And if you would ask me at the time, I'm like, oh, that book was the first book I sat down and I read, like from cover to cover. I was so excited. It made so much sense. It was so interesting. That book led into me discovering the idea of self-development, which led to me discovering the idea of internet marketing and entrepreneurship, and led into me making my first $1 million. So was that book worth $1 million? Maybe. Obviously, I'm not saying I would have paid $1 million for it, but how much was that worth? So much of my success is attributed to that. And so the reason I bring this up is this student in an email, and again, he meant it with love, and I'm not taking it personally, but it bothered me from the standpoint that I want to shake my old version of myself and say, this is something you should not do. So there's a few different elements to this email that really exposed to me a mindset that could be improved. And so the first thing is, so he joined the course. It was, I think, whatever, $1,000 deposit. And the idea is if you go through and give a testimonial, I'll give you your deposit back, which 100% I will do. Like that's my word. But what I'm realizing, and this is the real value I've gotten out of the interaction with this student, is this realization. What I'm realizing is People that put the deposit down with the sole intention of just getting the deposit back aren't going to get the real value from the course. The people that get the value, and I've talked to a good percentage of people, they tell me, you know what, I don't want to get the deposit back. I want to get so much value out of this course that I don't even care about the deposit. The people that are going to have the most success and have had the most success working with me are the ones that say to themselves, I'm going to make so much freaking money, keep that. Like, it doesn't even matter. And this goes to the more core principle of the secret to the mindset of making your first $1 million is understanding money is just an energy exchange. Everything in the world is just this energy exchange. And again, sounds super hippy dippy. What the hell does that mean? Money's a form of energy, right? We work hard on something and work hard on something. I'll get to that in a second. We work hard on something and then we make money. Now we have an option. When we want something from someone else, we can either do something for them, spend our energy, or we can say, hey, we already spent our energy on this other thing and we got this money in exchange. So instead of me spending energy doing something for you, why don't I just give you this money and then you can use that money to do whatever you want, right? And when we do that, it kind of evens the playing field. If I want a bag of apples from someone, I've got $10. I don't just say, hey man, I'd love those apples. I say, here's $10 to give me those apples, right? That's the core principle of how money works. It's this energy exchange. Now, with my course, it's 100. Yeah, I 100% stand by my word. It's like if you go through it and you launch it, you're gonna have your money back. But like I said, the people that are gonna get the most value from it are the people that actually value it and treat it as if it's worth $1,000, which 100% it is. And one thing that was said in the email that really got me thinking and got me not upset at him, but upset at this idea in our society. He said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, is that, you know, it's still early and basically, this is what he said. He said, basically the course right now is a bunch of YouTube videos and a weekly call. And what's hilarious about that is, first off, that almost implies that YouTube videos have no value and that weekly calls have very little value. And I'm sure he would have a different approach. And I know he didn't mean this offensively. But first off, the YouTube values have a ton of value. I make a ton of money off the YouTube videos. So those have value, right? Not to mention a lot of the videos that are in there aren't just YouTube. They're stuff you can't find anywhere. They're the behind the scenes secrets that I don't talk about and I've never seen anybody talk about. But if you go into with the mindset that they're just a bunch of YouTube videos, you're gonna miss the hidden gems. You're gonna miss all the things. In the same way, if I went into my mastermind just thinking, oh, this is just a bunch of people talking, I'm gonna miss the beauty, the years and years of intelligence from Pagan. You know, he spent 20 years doing this. He's already achieved what I wanna achieve. And so I can look at him and I can say, oh, well, you know, whatever, his business is different than mine. I can look at Pagan and say, oh, he just got lucky because he was the first one to do dating on the internet. So of course, business was easy for him. Or I could say, holy cow, what are those principles that he knows? How do I take those principles and apply it to me? And another thing that the student said was, and he said it in a nice way. I'm not taking offense here. He said basically that in a lot of ways that I timed the keto with Performance Nut Butter. I timed the keto trend, and I kind of didn't say this explicitly, but like almost like I got lucky with some of the stuff, and then basically what I did was improbable and not likely to be repeated, which is so insane. It's absolutely insane. Everything I did was so calculated, and I did so much research and thought it through so much. And yes, did I time the keto trend? Yes. But that's the entire principle of my course. The whole idea of a passion product is creating something new that does not yet exist, creating a niche and figuring it out. I even have lessons on this. And so if you pay attention, you'll see the lessons about Google Trends. And so why this bothers me so much is there was a time in my life I'd look at people and I'd say, well, that person just got lucky. Or that person, you know, whatever. Yeah, that person just got lucky, right? Now, anytime I see someone that I think I'm smarter than, that I think I work harder than, and they're more successful than me at a certain thing, that's when the light bulb goes off. That's when the siren goes off. And I look at them and I say, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Because there's something there. There's always something there. There's the first person I met, one of the first people I met that was making $300 a day, passive income. He was making it off YouTube. When I saw him, I thought to myself, I work harder than this guy. I'm smarter than this guy. You know, he's a smart guy and really great guy and everything. But that's honestly how I felt. But that intrigued me so much. I'm like, okay, he's obviously doing something that I'm not doing. What is it? And there was a lot. I ended up going and living with him in Vegas for 4 months because I wanted to learn everything from this guy. And I learned so much. And Eben Pagan, again, has this idea that success is usually not obvious and counterintuitive. Counterintuitive. So whatever you think is the intuitive, if you want to go from here to here and you think, well, that's the obvious line, no. It's probably to go over here, it's probably to go under here or over top or some completely different non-intuitive path. And so when you're looking at someone, you need to look at them and say, why is this person successful even though I don't think they should be? Even though why did they quote unquote get lucky? What are the principles they put in place? And the whole idea with this is there's more to this world, this universe than just quote unquote how much work you put into something is what you get out. I mean, there's definitely the amount of energy you put in does correlate with how much you get out, but sometimes you're not necessarily going to get out what you want. For instance, I could put a lot of energy into a business and I might get a lot of lessons and may not get a lot of money. Yes. So again, one other thing that was in this email that really, it just checked all the boxes for making a video about this. So another thing that was in this email that really got me going is basically he said that, you know, if we're successful, I don't remember exactly what he said, I'm paraphrasing again. If we're successful, it's almost going to be 100% because of the hard work that we put into this business. And basically this was in regards to something I said about, basically I was saying, you know, hey, hopefully it's up to you, but hopefully you'll let me keep some of that deposit for my hard work. And he's like, well, if the business is successful, it's because of the hard work we put into it, which I think, you know, it's something like 99% or 100% because of the hard work we put into it, which this is maybe the biggest moment of this entire video. This is the biggest wake-up call. No, that's not why. If you think that the amount of hard work you put into something directly correlates with how much money you make from it, you're completely missing the point on this entire thing. First off, as humans, we're part of this much, much, much bigger ecosystem. Look at how many people put in a ton of hard work into something and they completely fell apart because of coronavirus. And so going back to that statement, and this is true especially for me, my success I'm not 100% responsible for my success. I am so grateful, and you know, there's different terms here, and there's so many things that are working. They're so much bigger than me. For instance, what about my relationship with my parents? Man, I am so lucky. I'm one of the few people. Both my parents stayed together, never got divorced. Both my parents are still alive. Great parent. I was lucky because of that. I was lucky. So much of my success was because mentors and friends along the path. And to say that it's all because of me, if there was one thing from this entire video I've said so far, this one thing is maybe the most important thing, is that none of us are self-made men. None of us can do this on our own. And that idea is absolutely ludicrous. And if you think that I did this, no, it's not. And there's moments that I have that where I'm very egotistical and I think, well, I just work so hard and blah, blah, blah. I've been able to ride the wave. It's like going surfing and saying, well, I'm just, the best surfer in the world. And yeah, but if it wasn't for the waves there, if it wasn't for all the people that supported you and taught you how to surf or whatever, it wouldn't be possible. And this is so true in business. And one of the most important, you hear this a lot, is gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And it's realizing that all these people, to get you to where you are, they supported you. It was who Isaac Newton said, if I can see farther, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. And again, this is not me trying to build myself up because and this is not me trying to say that this particular student needs to let me keep the deposit. What I'm trying to do is open up the mind and realize that being so paranoid about every little dollar is not a way to have success and make a lot of money. Because, I mean, there's some people that do that and they end up going absolutely crazy. You see like the Howard Hughes style, just, you know, or the Scrooge McDuck or whatever. The way to really make your first $1 million is, yes, be attentive, but understand that it's a value exchange. So with the course and everything, to me, it's a value exchange. If someone is, it can be provided value in different ways. For instance, I, growing up, always thought that, or at least when I quit my corporate job, I always thought that I want to get a mentor and I want to, I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay for my mentor. It should be free because I want a mentor that sees so much potential in me and is just like, I want to help you out for free, Travis. That's so dumb. And I've switched my mindset on this, and I realized that me giving money to the mentor, and for instance, Pagan in this scenario, me giving money to this mentor is just a sign that I respect you and I value you. And people want to think that, okay, well, oh, I value your opinion. It's like, do you? How much do you actually value it? And now I'm not saying it needs to be money. I could instead have told Pagan, hey, I'm gonna fly out there. I'm gonna do a bunch of YouTube videos. I'm gonna write all the scripts. I'm gonna do all this work for you. In exchange, I'd like a little bit of your time. But keep in mind, Pagan, an hour of his time is worth 10 to 20x what it is my time. An hour of my students' time, in regards to if they want to pick my knowledge, look, I've got almost 8 years worth of knowledge in this. I've been doing this for a long time. I've launched a lot of products, and more importantly, I've talked to hundreds of successful and unsuccessful entrepreneurs, and I've been spending the last 8 years of my life tuning my brain, trying to figure out what it is. So every time I give an answer on a weekly Q&A call, it's not just off the top of my head. It's from lots and lots of experience. And so the question is, how much are those YouTube videos in my course worth, and how much is those weekly calls worth? Now, I'll do a little exercise here, because one thing that happened is a student said, okay, well, they'll ask my opinions. A lot of times people ask my opinion, and this particular, again, I feel like I'm calling him out way more than I mean to, but I'm just ranting, and again, he reminds me of my past self. So when I'm using him as an example, it's just because this is something that I was very guilty of, and I'm still a little bit guilty of, and it's still something I'm working on. So he asked me an opinion about a trademark. You know, should I do it myself or should I hire a lawyer to do it? And I said 100% do it yourself. I have a video, one of those YouTube videos that are in the course that shows you step by step how to do it. It's really easy. It's very intuitive. I put a lot of energy and thought. I've talked to a lot of people about trademarks and how important they are. And the truth is, they're not that important. You're not gonna prevent people from copying your brand. You're not gonna sue someone over it. And if you do, you're wasting your time. Talk to top entrepreneurs. Ask them how much they deal with the legal things early on. No. There's a lot of the top entrepreneurs, if someone's copying their brand early on, they don't go sue them. They market and promote and do better than them. That's something, it's thinking that you're gonna be protected in legal. It's not really the case. That's not the real threat. And so, okay, so instead of listening to my advice, he instead decided to hire a lawyer to do the trademark, which, hey, look it, I'm not, that one specific decision, I'm not saying he did 100% the wrong thing, but it's a pattern that's been repeating itself. And so in hiring the lawyer, how much did that cost? Let's say, I don't know, I'm just gonna make up a number, $500, let's say, $500 to hire a lawyer. So how much was the value of my thing of saying, don't hire a lawyer, just go watch my video in the course? It was at least $500, not to mention the time and energy. And so this is a pattern I saw in myself a lot, is when someone with way more experience gives you advice, it's often best to listen to it, to test it out and realize they may know things that you don't know. And there are absolutely times where you don't want to listen to them and you want to do the opposite instead, but watch out for that pattern. And this is the whole point, the whole reason I'm bringing this up is think about what is the value. So he said, I don't remember if I mentioned this already, but he said that maybe one day with success stories like his and others and some more feedback, and look at the course is still a work in progress, but it's always going to be a work in progress. The course is worth way freaking more than $1,000. It's so insane to me. It's worth way more than $1,000. All the time, energy that I put into those videos, not to mention a weekly call, to be able to have a weekly call with someone that's already achieved your dream is worth way more than $1,000. But he said at some point in the future, maybe you'll be able to charge $1,000 for it. And that was just nuts to me, because the truth is the value's there right now. And if he or other people don't see it, that's not on me. That's on, well, it is on me, but it's also on them. It's on me. And the lesson I learned from this is I need to do a better job of teaching my students, because here's the real secret. My course is not about how to make $1 million. It's about how to get the mindset to make $1 million. And I wrap some cheese around the pill to feed it to the students, because the real pill, the real thing they need to know is that most of the decisions, most of this kind of things that they're doing don't matter, because if you're playing the long game, you might make mistakes along the way. And anytime a decision's, 50% this, 50% this, it doesn't almost matter. It's almost better to just make one decision than spending hours and hours over analyzing. It's better to make one decision and then correct and correct. The people that get the furthest in life are the ones that jump off the high dive and then they go over and over again. Obviously, in that jumping off the high dive, you want to, there is some element of checking to make sure that the water is deep enough. Sure, but there gets to a point where it's a compulsion, and that's when it's being taken too far. When you're spending time away from doing business and you're spending time playing business, that's when it's not going to be successful. So the whole point of this video is it's all about the mindset, and it's understanding what is the value of something. Everything is this energy exchange, this value exchange. And for me, I have no problem giving back the deposit if I felt like that student gave an equal amount of energy. And this student's been working freaking super hard. Like, he is one of the students that I am by far the most proud of. But his mindset, I think, is still not there. And it's going to take him, at this rate, based on this last email I saw, it's going to take him a long time. And it's going to be very similar to mine, my story. It feels like in this moment, and I hope that changes, and I hope that I'm able to share some of my knowledge and that course correct him. But he's working extremely hard. He's doing so many things so good, and I'm so proud of him. But at the same token, there could be a lot of struggle in just like with B Dancewear. I worked really hard on that business, but it wasn't until I kind of let go to the universe and I kind of started riding the wave of my passion and started really focusing my brain and changing what I think the value of money is. A lot of my success actually happened when I changed. I was not doing, I was doing okay. I was able to pay the bills, don't get me wrong. And I moved out from my parents' house. At the time, I was paying like $400 a month rent at my parents' house. And to be fair, I had enough money to move out when I was living at my parents' house, but my business, we had a warehouse in Valencia, which is my hometown. And I ended up deciding, my dream would be to move to Santa Monica. I moved to a place that was $1,700 a month, and I had enough money to pay for a year's worth of rent. I had money saved up and I was okay. But all of a sudden, I started trusting that things are gonna work out. Instead of trying to save a bunch of money instead of trying to stay home living a crappy version of my life to try to get my business, I decided I'm gonna start living my dream life now. And so I moved out to Santa Monica. I may not have told this story before actually. And so I moved out from my parents' house. I moved there, $1,700 a month, which is a ton of money for me or anybody really. And you know what, I was thinking I was maybe barely just making enough to pay the bills. What happened? I started meeting people. I met somebody that was in the food space and they told me about how lucrative the food space was. And so you could say, performance nut butter. Am I 100% responsible for that? What percentage responsible is this person that helped spark the idea, that helped do the roadmap? The people that climbed to the top of Mount Everest, not the first people that did it, but the people that follow the path, well, they did the work to climb up to the top of the mountain, but it's not the same as being the first person that blazed the path. And so what it is, and I'm not saying I need more credit, but what I'm saying is cultivating an attitude of gratitude and realizing that we're not as strong as we think we are. That especially as humans, we need a tribe. We need other people. We need mentors. We need people in our groups. We need a lot of different things. And so the main reason I'm bringing all this up is understanding, have gratitude. Realize that it's not all you doing this. that it's the entire universe is conspiring to help you achieve your dreams. Everybody around you is helping you. Launching Performance Nut Butter, Ariana. I don't know if I would have been able to do it without her. How much work did she do on Performance Nut Butter? Very, very little. She helped me a little bit with Instagram, but without her help and support, would I have been able to do it? Probably not. It probably would have been a tenth as successful as it was. Without that guy that helped give me the idea, would I have done it? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I never would have had the courage to do it. And so what I want to really solidify in this video is learn what value is. Start becoming very aware of when you're taking more than you're giving, because it doesn't feel good. Because people can sense when you're taking more. And when you're taking more, people don't want to give you. But when you're giving more, I have a friend that he's just so giving and caring. I almost feel guilty. Like I think in my head, like, man, how can I do more for this guy? I have other friends that every time I'm around them, I feel like they're just maybe they're taking knowledge from me. Maybe they're taking little bits of my energy. And I feel like those people I don't want to be around. And I don't like it's not even worth my time. And so my one friend that just gives and gives, man, if he called me up and said, I need you to do this for me, I would do it in a heartbeat. And he doesn't even have to do that. Like I'm constantly just thinking like, dude, I appreciate that guy. And my subconscious is thinking I really appreciate that guy. And so my call to action in this video is start giving more. Start basically valuing things in your life more and saying, for people in my course, basically be like, what would make this worth, how do I put enough energy into this that it's worth $1,000 for one? And then if after you launch, you're like, yo, that wasn't even worth it. Yeah, get your deposit back, whatever. But like a testimonial, and maybe you're like, I'm going to be such a success story. The testimonial is 100% my thing. But long term, the thing that is going to make you successful is giving more than you expect to receive and giving without expecting more. And so I'm going to cap this video off. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. And thanks guys for watching.